So we spent 6 days this summer traveling through Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and we had a wonderful time. We're going to do some videos from that trip, but we're really behind on our videos. So we wanted to do this tips video right now and just kind of let you know some of the things that we learned traveling from Cape Breton and that might help you if you decide to go. The very first thing I would say is if you're undecided about it, just go. It's worth it. It's a long drive. I mean, we started from New Brunswick, so we're already in the Maritimes, and it took, I don't know, like 6 or 7 hours to get to where we were on our first day. Now, we kind of took our time, and we didn't rush, and we stopped a few times, but the point is, it's not a day trip, really, from anywhere. Even if you're in Halifax, really, Nova Scotia or Cape Breton isn't a day trip site. So it's a long ways to go. It's absolutely worth it, though. So the second point, about going to Cape Breton is that there's lots of different ways to go visit the island. Well, we took our trailer and we stayed at a couple of the campsites in the Cape Breton Highlands National Park, and we stayed at Myra River Provincial Park. But that's just the way we did it. There's all kinds of different ways to do it. There's bed and breakfasts, there's hotels, you can rent cabins. There's lots of different ways to go and stay. The third tip is make it a point to go see Fortress Louisbourg. It's out of the way. It's not on the way to anywhere, really. It's closest to Sydney, would be the closest bigger city, but it's out of the way. But absolutely a wonderful time. We were there a couple of years ago on our way back from Newfoundland, and we just had 1 day to go see it, which sounds like a lot, but when we left we thought, wow, this wasn't enough, we need to come back. So when we went back this time, we stayed at Myra River Provincial Park, maybe a 10-15 minute drive from Fortress Louisbourg. Made it really convenient, and we were able to spend the whole day there without feeling rushed. Tip number 4, the Cabot Trail is a must-see. You can't go to Cape Breton and not go around the Cabot Trail. I think this drive probably holds its own with any scenic drive in the world. It is spectacular. However, a couple things to be aware. You're going to want to make sure your vehicle is in tip-top condition. For the most part, it's a narrow 2-lane road, and there's 2 spots, I think, that have 13% grades and one that has an 11% grade, and that's up and down. And it's several kilometers going up and several kilometers coming down. Especially if you're towing an RV like we were. Going up, you're really going to be testing your engine, you're going to be testing your transmission. Coming down, it's all about the brakes. And even we put a set of severe duty brakes on, and I'm glad we did, because we needed it coming down with that big trailer in behind us. So go slow, take your time, be careful, don't worry about any traffic you think you might be holding up. It's just best to be safe on the Cabot Trail. So we like to hike, and we did some hiking while we were in the Cape Breton Highlands National Park. If you like to hike and you're crunched for time and you can only do one hike, we'd recommend the Skyline Trail. I think there's 26 hikes in Cape Breton Highlands National Park, and we only did like 7 trails. But the Skyline was really our favorite. I think the Skyline Trail there's a section you can do in and back, or there's kind of a loop part as well. And I think if you do the loop and you do the whole trail, it's about 7 kilometers. It really isn't very strenuous. It's mostly groomed. But the spectacular part is out at the end where the boardwalk goes right out onto the bluff. Amazing views. Now, we were there in the afternoon, but apparently if you're there, at sunrise or around sunset, you have a pretty good chance of seeing some wildlife. There's bear, moose, coyote. Obviously be careful, but it's supposed to be a place to have a great opportunity to see some wildlife. Tip number 6, we went in August, and when we go again, not if, but when we go again, I think we're going to push it out into later in September, maybe even early October. It's beautiful in the summertime. I'm sure it's beautiful all year round, but with the leaves like this, Cape Breton's going to be spectacular. The Cabot Trail is just going to be brilliant, and I think we want to go back and see that. Another nice thing about going later in the season is the crowds are going to be low. The campgrounds won't be as crowded. You'll have no problem with reservations anywhere. That's definitely what we're going to be doing next time. Our last tip, which I think is number 7, is take your time. There's just way too much to see. There's way too much to do. Don't get overwhelmed by everything that you think you're missing out on. Take a little time ahead of time, plan out some of the things you might want to see, leave room to be flexible for when you see something interesting that's not on your agenda, but take your time, go slow, have fun, and enjoy it. So that's our list. And there's many more things that could have been on the list that we did, like visiting Neils Harbor, which was beautiful. We drove up to Bay St. Lawrence, which is another fantastic drive. On the way home, we stopped at the Glenora Distillery and went on the tour there. Really enjoyed that as well. Lots of stuff to do. Next time, I think we'd like to maybe do some kayaking, visit the Bredor Lakes. That looks spectacular. So that's it. That's our tips from Cape Breton. If you enjoyed this, we'd sure appreciate a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of this, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.